Monica, before we get into the war of World War III that we are experiencing online, the daily World War III. Look, man, it's not two Americas. It is like it is a bigger clash than the clash we got coming in November, because these two people are young and they talking. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But Monica,
young and talking.
Young and talking.
Low bar.
Right. I know. John is losing his mind over there. John is like, what is getting cut out? What is getting sent to the bosses? What is John just pushing away from the table? And like, Vinny just said that on his own. I ain't got nothing to do with it. Right. But Monica, ever since you went viral with, your interaction with Steve on First Take, and everybody knows about that. Mm-hmm. You on with Bomani, of course, and then you went on the Daily Show. Tell me about this meteoric rise of Monica McNutt as WNBA evangelist, I feel like. I feel like you are preaching the good word. That's what I feel like.
It's honestly, Vinny, it's been kind of weird. Because for one, I just felt like the whole thing started by saying water is wet, which is like still very odd to me, but whatever. Then the second part of it is, I think shout out to a friend of the pod, friend of ours, Jamel Hill, like Angela Reese, like the women that are actually having real political conversations. Because I'm like, all I said was like, respect everybody else. And now all of a sudden I'm racist? Like, oh my God, what's happening? I have said since day one that my Rookie of the Year campaign is going to be directly attached to who can put their team in the standings. And when the question comes up on various days, look at the standings and I answer accordingly. It has been Caitlin. It has been Angel. But goodness gracious, like, and the amount of stuff in my mentions from people that I know do not care about women's basketball. But I'm the race baiter, but you're talking to me about race, and I've been covering women's basketball for however long. It's a little bit exhausting, but I am finding renewed stamina and energy because I do think that the conversation is finally moving to the basketball of it all.
Yes.
Outside of like just ignoring my mentions, like whatever. And so I have been grateful for the platform. I've been so grateful for the people. It's been weird for the people that are like, oh, you got Stephen A. I'm like, it was a debate show. We debated, like, that's that. But for the people that are true women's basketball fans that have been like, yo, thank you for saying what needs to be said. Like, just thank you for using your voice. I feel that. I receive that. And it's not that we're not welcoming a new audience. It's not that we can't have a conversation about Rookie of the Year. But I think for me, to go through this conversation and act as if we don't live in America in which race is part of the conversation, it's just to do the whole conversation a disservice, right? Like, and so when it trends a way that I feel like needs to be brought back, I'm happy to bring in a little bit of levity, but also very happy to talk about the basketball of it all. And Caitlin Clark is damn good. Like, and I've never said she wasn't. You know what I mean? Angel Reese has been hella impressive. Both are doing historic things. And so when you look at this Rookie of the Year thing, to me, it's just what do you value? And we know as sports consumers, offense gets a ton of praise compared to defense, right?
Right.
And that's fine. Caitlin's offense, the first triple-double as a rookie, she's been trending upward, especially since Indiana had a chance to come off that crazy schedule to start the season. What Angel is doing, breaking a double-double streak as a rookie, you feel her presence defensively, like that also has impact. And so it's up to you as an objective fan or consumer to decide where you place your value. But I think for me, I'm talking to the people that can respect what both of them are doing. I'm not talking to people that have already made up their mind one way or another because you're just trying to just be divisive.
Right. Now, see, it's funny because I want to talk about the basketball of this, right?
Uh-huh.
I want to start with Angel Reese because I wasn't sure what type of pro she would start off being. I think they've both been better pros quicker than I could have anticipated watching them. And I'm guessing that's because the college game is more analogous to the pro game than college basketball and the NBA is analogous to the NBA game. But even beyond that, the Teresa Weatherspoon effect for Angel Reese, I think, is something a little understated because Teresa Weatherspoon had fans in New Orleans and were really disappointed when the Pelicans did not bring her back. And that wound up being a Chicago Sky's gain. Like the fact that she's able to harness Angel Reese and Kennedy Carter in their passion and everything else. Like, I feel like we need to discuss that a little bit more.
Teresa Weatherspoon is an icon of the women's game. And I think, again, like, welcome aboard all the new folks. But 1996 Olympic team, 1997, formative years of the league. Teresa Weatherspoon was the first player that I argued with my dad about because he felt like she was a hot dog. And I was like, Dad, she's competing. Like, she's backing it up. She's energizing her team. Like, I remember that argument with my dad. And not contentious, but it was the first time I think my dad and I clashed over a basketball player. Because, Vinny, when I tell you, I was like, Dad, I got to go home because the Sparks played at Liberty at 3:30 on ABC. Like, I'm not missing. Like, the first 4 years of WNBA was like, I got games to watch. And, of course, my dad is like, okay, you're learning and growing. So my parents really supported me in that. But I think to know a little bit about Spoon's path as a player, as a coach, as a person, and if you ever have a chance to tap in, she posts various clips on her Instagram or has her team do it, I guess, to just listen to her in terms of the way she is fueled by purpose. And not that Christy Sides or any other coach may not be fueled by purpose, but I think for us in the game, the various roles that Spoon has had in the basketball lives she's lived, now to have her hands on a generational talent in Angel Reese to basically rehab Kennedy Carter, whose reputation preceded her negatively prior to this point.
Yep.
It is so perfect. And Angel actually talked about this the other day when she found out she became an all-star, how she had like prayed to God that she would fall to Chicago. And so there is a grit and connection that Spoon and Angel and Kennedy have in terms of their style, but also their willingness to work. And I think that's what's kind of lost in all of this. Like, yeah, all of the fantastic things that have been in addition to the core of basketball, but those young women are willing to work, and they are working for her at a high level.
For those who don't know, was it the 98 W finals? I feel like, was it 98 or 99? The half-court shot?
I think it was 8.
It was in Houston, and I feel like if my memory serves me, and this is like me going way back in the crates, Tina Thompson, I think, hit like some turnaround shot with like a second and a half left.
Tina Thompson.
And then Teresa just went right up the baseline. It was like they had the confetti out. I feel like they literally threw the confetti out.
The confetti was falling. She hit that shot.
And everything just froze.
Oh.
Like just as a competitor, like the whole house was like, oh.
Yes.
I remember that. I can't remember what happened last week, right? But you tell me like something happened in 1998. Like that's how weird my memory is. But she is such a great competitor, and I think in that same line, Angel Reese, like even the rough parts of her game that have not smoothed out yet, the fact that she's relentless has carried her through
100%.
all of this. Through
100%.
All of this, like she has a motor that you thought some people said college motor. She got a pro motor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's to me, and that's like, because I'm with you. It was kind of like, how's that going to work? What position she's going to play? Her stamina, her conditioning, her athleticism even, I think was underrated because she's doing it against grown women. She's still able to do it against grown women. And so that's a level of conditioning that either between the time she left LSU and got to the W, she had a chance to ramp up, or we just were to our mistake, we didn't appreciate how much energy she had in college.
I feel like we underestimated that. Probably because the team was so good.
That, and because like in college you look at it like, oh, chuck it up, girl, please, you can't do that at the next level. Like,
right.
And I'm not, she, to me, if I'm Angel, I'm watching Afisa Collier, who's dealing with a foot thing. Now, Fee has a level of smoothness naturally that I don't know that Angel will necessarily be able to recreate. But in terms of doing it at a high level, slightly undersized, like, that's, you know what I mean? Like,
that's I can see it. Yeah. No, I can see that. And now we go to Caitlin Clark, where I don't get too wrapped up in the turnovers. Sometimes, like, part of it is like a two-edged sword, right? You got to catch the ball, and sometimes you got to throw passes that you know your teammates can catch. So I feel like there's an adjustment there. Like when I see the turnover numbers, she got 8 turnovers and 7. Like Magic Johnson was like, hey man, I'm gonna keep throwing it, so you're gonna have to catch it. Yeah. I'm not saying magic, but you get what I'm saying just as far as the mindset of a point guard. She's really started to ramp it up. Like the shooting, I feel like has gotten better. I feel like she's gotten better at creating space. And I feel like little by little, it's been like, okay, we're starting to respect her a little bit more. Not we, but I feel like from a competition standpoint, like she's earning it a little by little every game.
I would say the same thing of Caitlin. Her conditioning and stamina has impressed me and strength, frankly, because those were the things that you looked at both of them and were like,
Grown
right?
women.
Yeah,
grown women against you.
And I think, and again, like, it's just what do you value? Angel's largely banging 4s and 5s, definitely grown women. But Caitlin, through the matchup with Chicago 2 weeks ago-ish, had seen the most double teams in the league, right? Like, and also grown women on the perimeter. And so I'm with you. Yes, even she would say she'd like to get the turnovers down. But I think the other part, too, that you got to step back and look at with them, Indiana had a crazy schedule to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
Any new point guard on a team is going to have an adjustment period because you have to learn one another, right? Now, you add into the mix that this is a rookie point guard. Got to give it room to marinate. Got to give it time to cook. And then 3, as I've watched Indiana as of late, even if you put 5 vets together, but they like to move off the ball and cut, it's going to take a minute. Because cutting is you in the way until I learn your game.
Right. You don't know the pass is coming. You don't know the pass is coming. You don't know you're open.
So now, first foundational piece, Caitlin and Aaliyah, starting to cook in that pick and roll.
Yep.
Kelsey Mitchell now knows how to come to the ball, and Caitlin is now picking up where to find her. Timmy Fagbenle, who I think people are not super familiar with, but very versatile as a 4-5 and a competitor. Like, all right, now I know I got to get my hands ready to catch these passes from Caitlin. Alyssa Smith finally turning the corner in terms of her engine. She's a player that has a big-time engine and sometimes doesn't always tap into her max potential. I actually think, Vinny, that Indiana has a good chance to be solidly in the postseason, like not fighting for the 8th seed. And for me, if they are 7, that's going to be runaway in terms of Rookie of the Year, even if Angel continues we looked it up yesterday during the game. 28 is the most double-doubles in the season. Alyssa Thomas had it last year. She also set the record for triple-doubles last year, so by default it's double-doubles too. Angel already has 13. Now, that will also be historic if she's able to track that.
Right.
But if she tracks that and they're 9, 8, Caitlin and pulls them into 7, you know what I mean? And I've always said, for me, one of my bigger metrics on this Rookie of the Year conversation is going to be how do you impact winning, and it's just hard to debate that.